You may know all about the hazards of not getting enough shut-eye when it comes to productivity at work, but new research shows how too little sleep can also negatively impact our relationships, making us less able to discern emotions in others and regulate our own. Here to discuss the connection between sleep and emotional stability is WSJ health reporter Andrea Petersen. Andrea, thanks for being with us. This is some fascinating new insight into sleep deprivation.
It really is. I mean, the fascinating thing is that, yes, when you're sleep deprived, you actually have a difficulty in discerning the emotions on people's faces.
And
you have
reading their expressions?
Right. You have a difficulty telling if someone is happy, sad, or angry, especially if those expressions are subtle.
Right.
You also actually have dampened emotional expression yourself. So people who are less likely to smile even if something is funny when they're sleep deprived.
So I can imagine this, of course, impacts your relationships because you're not responding properly. And are you over-responding to little annoyances?
Yes, I think all of us have that experience of feeling irritable and cranky. Yes. And now scientists have actually been able to sort of quantify that and see that in action. Researchers at Penn, actually, what they did is they sleep deprived one group of people and didn't another, and then they had them do a series of math problems. And when the math problems were very difficult and people were getting negative feedback, they found that people who were sleep deprived and rested actually had the same sort of levels of sort of anxiety and anger. But when when the problems were easy, the people who were sleep deprived had much higher levels of those negative emotions. So it really shows that it's the trivial things that can really.
And there's these recent neuroimaging studies that show the science behind this?
Yes, that's true. What they're finding is that sleep deprivation really sort of amps up the activity of the amygdala, which is a part of the brain that's critical for emotional processing, and also sort of weakens activity in the prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain that is really critical for regulating emotions.
Oh my gosh, so we already knew all the other bad things that sleep deprivation causes, right? It's linked to obesity, diabetes, a whole host of health issues.
Mental health issues, yes.
So what are the recommended sleep allowances per night based on a healthy adult?
Experts say that healthy adults should get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep a night. Unfortunately, data crunched by the CDC shows that at least 1/3 of American adults are getting less than that. And there's a significant portion that are getting even less than 5 hours of sleep.
Oh. And they don't know the minimum number that's necessary, right?
What they're finding is that for this sort of amygdala hyperreactivity, they're finding that about less than 6.5 hours is when you start seeing that heightened activity. So that seems to be a good benchmark.
You really, really should aim for at least that 7-hour mark at night, right?
Right.
Now, are there public health implications to all of this?
One researcher who I spoke to said that yes, for people like military and police, people who really, it's critical for their job to be able to accurately read someone's emotions, this could have life or death consequences.
And now we know it's not only critical for our jobs and for public health, but for our marriages.
That's true.
And the relationship with our children.
Right, and bosses.
And bosses and everyone in our lives. Andrea Petersen, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.